Welcome to the world of Pixar, the company that changed animation forever, where we have toys that can walk and talk, to a world where monsters scare kids for energy, to a world where we actually believe we're on the coral reef, to a house that has balloons that allows us to venture out, to a world that we want to be in, to even having cars that actually truly speak. Today, we are going to be ranking our top 5 Pixar films of all time. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flicks.
What's going on? It's your host, Patty B. As always, with me today, Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I am excited. This is, I was excited ranking Disney films. Pixar is more in my zone. I love Pixar. I love the history behind Pixar, how it came to be, how it outdid a lot of animation and really moved animation to the 3D style animation that we know and love today. This is just by far one of my favorite companies that ever came out, and every movie that's come out, except a few, are bangers. These guys are very tedious about their films. They know what they need to do and they do it right. So I'm excited.
Mhm.
This list was another easy one for me. I knew exactly how I was ranking. How about you, Pat? Was it hard for you to rank your top fives or was it simple?
Uh, it was pretty simple for the most part. I think it was more of like I felt like I was going to leave something out, but I think I made pretty good choices at the end of the day. So
Okay.
we'll see. I my honorable mentions I think speak for themselves too. So I think I'm okay with how everything turned out. So I'm excited to get this underway.
So should we Rochambeau who goes first this time?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do 2 out of 3 though. I like the
All
2 out of 3 rule.
right, sounds like a deal. Ready? Ready to go.
One,
Rochambeau.
two. Oh, this ain't gonna
Okay.
work.
Okay, ready? Ready?
Ready?
One,
One, two,
two,
three.
three. Okay, we're not doing that. I'll let
Yeah.
you go first. Okay. So, yes, fans, you heard it on the air. We are not good Rochambeauers on Zoom. Okay.
Well,
So,
Zoom ain't doing us any favors.
yeah.
So
But we love Zoom because we use it for our stream or for our recording session. So,
thank
thank
you,
you,
Zoom.
Zoom.
Thank you, Zoom.
Yeah. So, what's your number five, Pat?
Number 5 is a world where we're a lot smaller than the rest of everyone else, and you're not. I'm not talking about what you think I'm talking about. Talking about being an insect. Talking about A Bug's Life
Oh,
because A Bug's Life I think is an underrated movie.
yeah, it is.
It's not talked about a lot out of all the Pixar films, and I mean, I don't even see it like being merchandised a lot. I know back then when it first came out, it seemed like it was. I remember I had a little, I had like a stuffed animal that was like an ant. I think it was Flick.
See, I had a stuffed animal from it, but it was Hopper. I love
Hop.
the villain.
Okay.
I love the villain.
Yeah,
So
Hop. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, I've always loved this movie. It's got a different aspect, like it's the bugs, the characters, and I'm a beautiful butterfly, you know. Just everything about it. It's so creative to the point. I mean, I think every Pixar movie has its own creativity about it, right? Its own little story. But no, I love like just the little concepts too of like their actual world and like the like when they're getting the food and everything and they're all like carrying the seeds and stuff like that. It's just so funny because like that's what they do, right? That's what bugs do, or I guess colonies or whatever.
the
But
ants eat or pick the food, the grasshoppers eat the food,
yeah,
but I enjoy that movie. It made my honorables. It did not make my
okay.
but I will go to my number five, and Pat knows I love this movie not only because of the story, but because of the score.
Mm,
The score did win an Oscar. It is Up.
yeah.
I enjoy this film. A lot of people forget this is a Pixar film. And why I say I love the score, this is by far one of my favorite scores of all time. We had a top 10 list, Up would be on my list.
Yeah.
Um, it's done by Michael Giacchino. And Michael Giacchino always has a way to tell the story within his music, and he does this in his film. A Married Life is by far one of my favorite songs of all time. Um, it's a scene that makes you cry so much, even hearing the music. You
Mm.
understand what's going on.
It goes through a lot, right? Through that
Yeah.
whole sequence.
It
So
goes through an up phase where they get married and they're happy, everything. Then it takes a downturn when we find out they can't have kids. Then it turns back up because they still try to make a life for it. I'm not leaving you at this point. We're going to have a great life. And then she starts to get ill. And then she ends her life ends. And that scene, just that piano, it's just so beautiful. It's just an amazing tone. And Michael Giacchino does a great job. Let's talk about the movie, though. The movie alone is a story of trying to find your way after a close one dies, right? They've been working on trying to go to this place they wanted to do as kids. And he finally takes that venture. He's like, screw it. I'm going to do this. And he does, but he has to sacrifice things in the process. You get Russell to go with him on this trip. And Russell was a guest person that they were like, why are you here? Why are you even on my board? Well, I'm trying to help you, and you just took off. You know, Russell's one of my favorite. He's the Boy Scout of the movie. He's a fun character to watch. John Ratzenberger's in this film. But here's the thing I love. Christopher Plummer. He is Charles Muntz, the main villain of the movie. What a great role for him.
yeah,
And Ed Asner is Carl, the main man of the movie, or the main character. That whole last scene where they're escaping and he has to let the house go. It was like his final string to Ellie, which is his wife. It is heartbreaking. That whole scene when he finally has to let the last piece of the house go. By God, it.
yeah. Well, they what's cool is they make the story revolve around that house pretty
Yeah,
much, and it's like a coming to circle moment in the film, and then that's basically when he cut ties with everything. But and like you said, it makes it powerful because that house is one of the main symbolic features of this movie. So
it is. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Ed Asner is great in this film. It's one of my personal favorite roles for him.
Ed Asner has a great voice, by the way. Like
Well, he's Carl. Anytime I
I
hear
know, I know. It's just great. Yeah, like his voice is perfect for that. The
like
way that the artwork for that character was made, like the way they made that character look, was perfect for his
I
voice.
could see him, rest in peace, because Ed Asner passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I could always hear him saying, "So long, boys." It's just fun to hear him. And you get Doug. How can you not like Doug? Doug
yeah.
is the talking dog that makes you laugh anytime you hear him. He's like, "Hey, squirrel, hi." It's just fun to have those moments with him. Um, I love Up. It's a movie that I did not like at first when I first watched it. I only liked the music, but then the music is what tells the story to me. And when the music tells you the story, it's very powerful. And I think that's what they were aiming for. Even though
Mhm.
we hear talking, even though we hear words, that music is what tells you that story. I have the whole album on my phone, and it's one of my favorite ones I listen to on repeat. It's just, even Married Life, even though that gives me emotional turns, even though I'm at work, I'm sitting like, crap, here's this song again, and I'm sitting there crying, but I can't turn it off because it's such a great song. Michael Giacchino did earn his Oscar for that, and I'm so proud of that. So, and I believe Up did win Best Animated Picture that year too. So
Did it? Okay.
I believe it did. I believe, yeah, it did. I
Yeah, I remember seeing Up in theaters,
Yep,
and
I did too.
I liked it. It was a good movie. But it's funny because like after I didn't watch it for a long time after that, probably years afterwards. So when I watched it again for the first time in a long time, it I had a little different perspective on it because I was really young when I watched it. So like
Yes.
you said, it really tugs on the heartstrings for sure. Like it really gets you. Uh,
So here's the things that it was nominated for. So it was nominated for actually Best Picture of the Year. It did not win. It was nominated for Best Writing Original Screenplay.
Mhm.
It was a winner for the score. It was nominated for sound editing. And it was a winner for Best Animated Feature Film. So, but let's turn over to you, Pat. What's your number four?
Number 4. No, my
Number four.
number 4. Number 4 for me is Toy Story 2.
Okay, so you like your Kelsey Grammer as Stinky Pete.
I d Yeah. You know what, that's funny. I knew he was Stinky Pete, I just totally kind of didn't think about it until you said it again. I'm like, "Wow, it is Kelsey
Yeah.
Grammer."
You
But,
like Green Knight as Al. I know it. Just say it. You
that
like
dude,
you like.
Wayne Knight as Al is great. He's fantastic, like,
I love
couldn't be.
his crying scene at the end. Brooke, Brooke,
Yeah,
yeah. You could have asked anybody better, but
he dresses up as a chicken. No, this movie is the first sequence of it, like the opening scene where it's like you don't think it's a video game the whole time until it ends. But Zurg is the main villain in it, right?
yeah. Well, I wouldn't say. I think Stinky Pete is the main villain of the movie.
Yeah, sorry.
Stinky
Stinky
Pete is the
Zurg is like a side character, but like it opens up the movie opens up like how Buzz's world would be, right? Like how Buzz Lightyear's world
yeah.
is, and he's getting to like this underground layer where Zurg is hiding and everything. And anyway, it ends up being like a trap. But anyway, it turns out to a video game how it's played. But just in that opening sequence, and I want to talk to you about this. There's a lot of Star Wars features added into this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of little Easter
Uh,
eggs, kind of.
yeah, you have I am your father when Zurg tells Buzz Lightyear
I
that.
am your father, and the big one for me is I believe they have Vader's breathing sound in it, and then
Yep.
they also have the sound that the Tie Fighters make, or
Yep.
the shooting.
Yep.
I don't know what you would call it, like
Woo,
the shooting.
woo.
Yeah, just the way it sounds. I know we've talked about this too.
Yep.
Uh, Side noting, but like how our favorite Star Wars guns shoot and how they sound.
No, no, I'm just messing.
That would be one of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of a cool thing. Also, give a little shout out to the Nature Boy, how they play the Ric Flair music when he's hopping on the little.
Well,
But
I hope you realize that's not Ric Flair's music. That's from
I
2001:
get
A
it.
Space Odyssey.
I know. I'm just the wrestling fan of me can't help it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
Um, I
no.
love the concept of how Woody is stolen by a toy collector. You know, in Al's Toy Barn, the sketchy toy. What, he owns the toy shop too, right?
Al's Toy Barn. Hmm.
Yeah, but he must do like collectible toys on the side and like kind of dealings and stuff like that. That's what it sounds like,
Hmm.
and kind of marketing for his own brand or his own company. But I don't know, just this movie all around. You kind of get new characters involved too. You get Jesse and the Roundup gang, Stinky Pete as Kelsey Grammer. Uh, is it Jane, right? Or it's
Yeah,
Jesse? Sorry,
Joan Cusack as Jane.
Joan Cusack. Yeah, I knew that. It's Jesse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, no,
Which
this movie. What's that?
which can I want to interrupt quick. Jesse's song when
Yeah.
she loved me still brings tears to my heart or to my eyes every time that song comes on. Because it is like a passing of a toy.
Mhm.
It's like the girl doesn't grow up from it, didn't want her anymore, and left her on the side of the road. I think they did an interview with Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and they showed them that song and that scene, and they both were brought to tears. That is how sad that song was. When you can get Tim Allen to cry, you don't see that very often. It's sad. Joan Cusack, or I believe that was Sarah McLachlan who sang that song, and it was such a beautiful song. When she loved me, it's like, oh my god. I watched it not too long ago, and I was still crying. It's like God, it gets you.
I like some of the. I like the scene where they break in to get Woody. Like that whole scene is great.
I don't want to use my head.
I like I like. What do you think about the Zurg character? I kind of like the Zurg
I
character.
didn't. I felt like for what Zerk, it's kind of like how I look at Joker with the Suicide Squad, right? From the first movie. They advertised him, but he really wasn't anything. And that's just kind of like how I look at with the Joker with the Suicide Squad. They advertised him to be the big villain of the first Suicide Squad movie, and they didn't do anything. He wasn't the main character. He wasn't the main villain. It's kind of how I looked with Zurg. Zurg was advertised to be like the main person of this film or main
Mhm.
villain, and it was Stinky Pete. Stinky Pete, I love. I love Kelsey Grammer. Don't ever get me wrong. I think he played a great villain. He always plays a great villain in my eyes because he's Sideshow Bob in Simpsons. Not the point. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Zurg. I never really have. When they did the Buzz Lightyear show, that's where I liked him more because Zurg
Yeah.
was the main villain.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed that more because I feel like that's where you got Zurg. That's where you got to know what Zurg was truly about.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we got that in Toy Story 2.
And I didn't get to watch the show much, but I did watch. They had an animated movie as well, right?
Yeah, or they did an animated movie with it
Yeah.
before the show, like how they always did when they
And I've seen that movie.
yeah, and then they made it into a show. And they did that for quite some time. They did that with like Tarzan and Jane. They did it with quite a few shows where they made a movie to kind of like launch it. Just
Hmm.
like Star Wars, the Clone Wars did, right? They launched it by a movie and then it made it into a popular show.
Got it.
Kind of what Disney did for quite a while for their shows.
Mhm.
Was they made a movie and then they lifted it into a show.
Like a Lilo, they did a Lilo and Stitch one too, I believe.
Well, the Lilo and Stitch came, yeah, they did the movie, the big movie that came
That's
out,
what I'm saying. They did the movie and then they did.
and then they did a movie to start a show, and then that's what the show started after.
Got it.
And the show, I enjoyed the show, but still, but yeah. So I will go ahead if you're done with your number four. I
Yeah,
go
no, I'm done with it. Yeah, that's cool.
because I have a feeling my number four is going to be higher on your list because I know you. It's Ratatouille.
Mhm.
I know it's up higher on your list. It's either your one or two. I know it. But Ratatouille is one of my favorite Patton Oswalt films of all time. Still
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
I love him as Remy.
Yeah, yeah.
Think
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
it's a movie about anybody could do whatever they want. Doesn't matter how big, small, what you look like, what you are, doesn't matter. If you have a dream, you have the right to pursue it. And I love this movie. Um, Bradley Garrett is in this movie again as the main cook. That's his imagine like the main cook that used to run the I can't remember his name. It's been a while since I've watched it. Gusto. Gusto is Bradley Garrett.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I just pulled out a good one for you. That's Bradley Garrett, buddy. Um, I enjoy this film. I love Remy. Remy's one of my favorite characters in all Pixar films.
Yep.
Um, it's just a movie I know a lot of people do not like. I don't know why.
Why, man?
It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I didn't think there was nothing bad about the movie. Um, Sad thing is though, Patton Oswalt and Brad Garrett are probably your two biggest people in this movie, and that is it.
Will
You got
Arnett's in it.
Peter. Well, yeah, well, on that, but you also have Peter O'Toole. And
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole is Anton Ego, which is by
Amazing.
far one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Anton Ego's awesome.
I love his scene where he eats the ratatouille.
Yeah.
And when you try that and you have his flashback scene,
I will have some perspective.
like, and then
Fresh perspective.
and then what I love too is when he wants to meet him, he's shocked to see who made him this meal.
Yeah.
And then when this restaurant closes and the other one opens, he helps them open up the new restaurant, and they call it Ratatouille. So it's that little fun aspect of knowing what you love, doing what you love. And doesn't matter, and don't let anybody else tell you you can't do something. Doesn't matter on who you are, what you are. Doesn't matter. Um, it's funny you bring up Will Arnett because he's one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. I killed
I
somebody.
killed
Stop.
this stuff.
I love him. Will Arnett is just one of those oddball actors that you would love in any movie he appears
Dude, I love him in Blades of Glory.
in. I loved him in Semi Pro.
Oh, dude.
He's the
Yes.
announcer in Semi
Yes.
Pro. I love him. I love him as Lego Batman for
I
crying.
love those two commentators in that. They're like one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah, it's like one's actually being serious and the other one is like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
like he's
man, I
always
love Semi Pro. Oh, man. Semi Pro,
we need to
such
watch
an
it.
underrated Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah, it is. It's one of my favorite Will Ferrell movies.
It is. Yeah, me too, for sure.
It's at least in my top three. I don't know if I could put it over Elf, and I can't put it over what's it? I can't even remember. I put Talladega Nights up there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Step Brothers. I can't put Step Brothers in my top three. It's hard for me to watch that movie.
Maybe we'll do a Will Ferrell ranking.
Yeah.
We'll see how it all shakes out.
But Ratatouille, again, by far a great movie to watch. I watched this in the drive-ins. When they had one here not too far away from where I live.
That's cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
My number three, and this movie is kind of cool because I think it has like a realistic nature to it. And you know me, we've talked about it before, especially with Disney movies, how I like kind of more of those realistic style of movies. And I think for Pixar to do it is pretty cool. And it's The Incredibles, the first Incredibles.
So I'll join in with you because that is my number two on my list.
What number is that for you?
Number two. Number two. Yeah, that's my number two. This by far is one of my favorite movies of all time. It truly is. I always agree with the experts. This is what the Fantastic Four should be, not the shitty movies that we've gotten for them.
Yep.
I know that's a Marvel reference. I don't care. This is what the Fantastic Four should be. What was your favorite character from this movie? I have to ask that first off.
Oh man,
There's a lot of great moments in this film.
there is, and I think that's what's so cool about it too, is because it's so like some of the fighting scenes are pretty like legit, or like just all like the action about it is pretty legit.
Right.
I like I like either Mr. Incredible or I like Frozone.
I was gonna say, if you don't say Frozone, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, Frozone. I mean Samuel L. Jackson. You can't go wrong with Samuel L. Jackson.
No, you can't. Samuel, where's my super suit? What? Where's my super suit? You know, it's like he got Samuel L. Jackson in that role, and it's perfect. What about Jason Lee? Jason Lee is
Another thing too, he's phenomenal.
yeah.
I've always been I'm a big Jason Lee fan, and that stems back to my fandom of Kevin Smith movies.
Jason Lee is just greatest syndrome. You wouldn't think a comedian would take a role like this.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. Is especially for like an animated movie like this. This was I remember when I was a kid. This was like kind of a big deal. Like it was a different Pixar movie. You know,
Right.
the fact that this guy came from Mallrats and now he's doing a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Like he came a long way, and I mean, that's like I said, I'm a big Jason Lee fan. I mean, my name is Earl and whatnot. That's all good stuff. But uh, his character alone, how he is the kid that was kind of felt left out, right? He wanted to be like Mr. Incredible, and now he gets his revenge on him years later as he's older. Uh, Also, the character, and I can't remember her name, but the main lady with the hair, the bowl cut, you know what I'm talking about.
Edna Mode. I love Edna Mode. Like she is like the tinkerer of their universe. I, you talk about this is. You want me to tell you the funny thing is this is another Michael Giacchino scored film.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is. This is one of his first ones he did for Pixar, and it was amazing. I love that little jazzy kind of beat to it, but it's like a superhero beat.
Yeah. No,
I
for sure.
remember they did an interview with him on Collider. It was like a comic book because he's a comic book fan. And they asked him like when they announced when they were doing Incredibles 2, he was very nervous about it. He was just
Mhm.
like, I don't know if you should do that. The first one was so good. And he has a good relationship with Brad Bird, who directed the film. It's a great film how he did it. And it did win 2 Oscars that year, too. It won Best Achievement in Sound Editing and Best Animated Feature Film. Well, when Pixar comes out to play, they come out to play.
Yeah.
But I love that the fact that the heroes are in retirement, that the public turned their eye on them. Like they looked at it as a danger to society instead of being a heroic aspect of society, that people are good enough. And that all these heroes are retired now. And then now you have Mr. Incredible go out to try to be a hero again
Yeah.
and then get played by somebody who tried to be his sidekick in Syndrome. Syndrome is by far my favorite villain. Like I know I say that with
Got a cool suit. I love the suit. The attire is awesome.
like I know we've talked about favorite villains. He would be in my top 5 for any Disney or Pixar movie, period.
Okay.
Syndrome is just an amazing character. And seeing somebody like Jason Lee take this role, you wouldn't think it.
Mhm.
And it's perfect for him. He's that witty, but he's that serious. And that's what I love from an actor. And yeah, I enjoy this movie too, just as much as you. That's why it's a little higher on my list on my end, but still. Craig T. Nelson. Let's talk about the actors. Craig T. Nelson's in this film.
Craig T. Nelson's awesome, and I love his voice in this. He is Mr. Incredible.
Or Holly Hunter is Elastigirl.
Yeah.
I like her. Samuel Jackson is Frozone. We've talked about Jason Lee. Um, Wallace Shawn. If anybody does not know who Wallace Shawn is, you don't guys are not young Sheldon fans. But not only that, you don't know who talks for Rex in Toy Story.
Yep.
He's in this film. He plays a small role, but it's
He's the
funny.
boss, right?
He's the boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
He
not,
puts him through the wall, and he's all.
yeah. I'm
Uh,
not happy, Bob. Like I love it.
I'm
I'm
not happy,
not
boss.
happy, Bob.
Yes.
I thought happy, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob.
I,
Yeah,
I,
I love him. He has a voice of his own. That character is just like you say with Bradley Garrett, right? Or Brad Garrett. Whenever you hear his voice, you know exactly who it is. To me, it automatically goes to Rex from Toy Story. That is who that is.
you know what? For Wallace Shawn, too, that's his name, right? Wallace Shawn.
Wallace Shawn, yes.
Yeah. One of his roles that really sticks out to me is in Vegas Vacation,
Yes.
where he's the dealer. Oh man, it's so funny. He's like, "Want to?" He's like, "Play again." He keeps egging him to gamble and whatnot. But yeah,
You
that's always a role that sticks out to me. But I mean, besides Rex, obviously, that's one that sticks out to me, or one of his more a live action film that he's in, at least.
Princess Bride.
What's that?
Princess Bride, you gotta bring
Oh,
up.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
That's one of my favorite movies. Like, ha ha ha. You know.
Wanna pull it up? Yeah.
So I will go ahead at this point and go to number 3 for me. If this isn't on your list, Pat, I'm gonna be shocked. Because you only have 2 spots left, buddy. Monsters Inc. You don't have it on your list?
I don't.
Wow. I'm shocked. Okay. Because I know it has some of your favorite actors in this film. You have John Goodman, you have Billy Crystal, you have Steve Buscemi in this
Mhm.
film. That's Randall. That's one of my other favorite villains. I like Randall. Mary Gibbs, Jennifer Tilly, Robert or Bob Peterson, who's also another big person. Uh, well, Bob Peterson is the one that does Doug. He does a lot of things with Pixar too. Not only that, you get Frank Oz in this film. Yoda himself is in this film. Yeah, there's a lot in this movie that I enjoy. James Coburn is Waternoose. He is a big Western star. Um, there is Bonnie Hunt's in this film as Flint. The the list can
Funny.
go, but Mike and Sullivan,
Yeah.
talk about the main two. John Goodman, Billy Crystal. What a great duo.
Oh,
Those
absolutely.
like if I had to look at duos in Pixar, I'd probably put Tom Hanks and Tim Allen first. Billy Crystal and John Goodman's a close second. Like it is second to me. Everybody else, I don't care. Like that point, like Holly Hunter and Craig T. Nelson, I'd put up there, or Frozone and Craig T. Nelson, or Samuel Jackson, I'd put up there too. But Billy Crystal and John Goodman's second to me. It's always going to be those two. I love the whole training montage scene when they're like Scareface, you know, it's like one of those fun things to have with John Goodman.
Yeah.
John Goodman's always been one of those people that you love.
Oh, yeah.
And having him as Sullivan, who's supposed to be the scarer, and he meets somebody like Boo. I love my favorite scenes when he's thinking she's getting mushed up. You know, he's all passing out, and he's like, you know, I love that scene. And I don't know why it makes me laugh. But or Steve Buscemi. Let's talk about him as Randall. What a creepy role for him. But that doesn't shock me after watching Fargo. Okay. Fargo for me is one
uh,
of his creepier roles. But Steve Buscemi as Randall, that doesn't shock me. That is his personality in most movies. He's that slimy little guy that's going to get his way or find a way to get to what he wants. And Randall's a perfect example of that. He always wants to be the top scare, but he can't get past Sullivan. Sullivan is always going to be that top scare. So Randall has to find ways to go around it. Bob Peterson. Now, I talked about this guy before. He is Doug in Up. He is Roz in this film. I'm always watching Mike Wazowski. I'm
that's pretty
always
good.
watching. Well, my nose, I'm going through a nasal thing right now, so I know I can do more voices like that. I can always do that without any milk, too. But still the point from SpongeBob. Okay, I can do that as well right now. But one of my favorite scenes to this day in this movie is nothing to do with Sullivan and Mike. It's the 2319 scene where the sock gets onto the scare and his partner goes, you know, and all of a sudden you see the CPA come in, you know, all like shaved him all, showered him, and then revealed him. And it was like the funniest thing for me for some reason. I don't know why. Um, but I love Mike Wazowski. He is one of my favorite characters to watch. Sullivan is another great character. Jennifer Tilly is Cecilia, which is Mike's girlfriend.
Yeah. It's the Bride of Chucky right there.
Why do you even have to bring that movie up? I hate Chucky's.
That's one of Alan Tudyk's best movies.
I don't like. No, it's not. No, no, it's not. I'm gonna refuse that right there. You know, I'd rather watch him as Steve the Pirate than ever watch him Red Chucky. Sorry, buddy, not putting it up there. But I like Billy Crystal. I'm a big John or
Billy Crystal's great in this movie.
he is. I like the when they turn it to comedy afterwards, so that they don't have to scare people. You want me to tell you something though? I do like Monsters University. I know a lot of people bash on that movie.
It
I
was good.
enjoyed that movie
Yeah.
because you get to see him all younger. You get to see that Randall was actually a really good person. He really was a good person until Sullivan screwed him over in college. And then that's where his hatred for Sullivan began.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you get to see Mike and Sullivan become what they are today. You know, you see all these great scenes and it's amazing. And but seeing Mike and Sullivan in this movie, you have to grow with them a little bit. That they have to learn now at this point, do they go against what they've always fought for? Or try to save this little girl, or do they turn this little girl in? That's how you have to look at it. And it's interesting to see it. The dynamic between these two. And then when Boo has to go, it's like another sad scene. Pixar gets you with sad scenes when they want to.
Oh
When,
yeah.
when you see Sullivan hug Boo for the last time, it brings you to tears. It
Hmm.
truly does. And then what does Mike gift him at the end of the movie? Because they shred the door.
Yeah,
but he rebuilds it.
he rebuilds it, yeah. He had all the cuts on his hands and everything.
And then you open the door, Kitty, and he just sees that little bright face from Solomon.
Mhm.
It's a great scene. John Goodman's great in this film. Billy Crystal's great in this film. I say it many times. Steve Buscemi is great in this film. John Ratzenberger is the Yeti.
I was gonna say I really enjoy that scene where they get they shove him out of the door, right? And then they cancel the door, so he's stuck there.
And yeah, Yeti come in.
Yeah, man. So
Welcome
it's
to the
I love
Himalayas,
it.
you know.
Okay, yeah, welcome to the Himalayas with his iconic.
And it's all yellow snow too on top of it.
That's what we're supposed to think it is.
That is like it was yellow for a reason. If you don't look at that and not go, that's not yellow snow.
Well, it's like where is he getting his product? He's in the Himalayas.
Yeah, exactly. He pees on it. That's where he gets his flavoring. It tastes like orange juice. No, it don't. Anyway, but it's a great movie. I'm shocked it didn't make your list because I know
You
you
know
did.
what? I'm kind of disappointed I didn't put it on my list either, but it's all right. Maybe A Bug's Life probably could have not made this list. I
So
probably five.
go back and redo. No, I'm just messing.
Yeah,
Um,
we're gonna reverse it.
so I've already done my number two. I've talked about The Incredibles with
Yeah.
you. So what is your number two?
My number two is probably your number one. I'd be surprised if it wasn't your number one, or because you don't have very many. Or it's got to be in your top two, I would think. Oh wait, you just said never mind. Anyway, Toy Story
No comment. I'm keeping a straight face right now.
is my number two.
Talk to me, Pat. What do you love about this movie?
Um, well, it's the very first Pixar movie, right? It's the one that got all of it. It all started. Uh, you know, toys. I just love the concept of it, right? Like these toys are to life. It's this world that you would never picture, right? It's a first of its kind when it came out, and Buzz and Woody are some of the most iconic Disney characters in history. I think. I would be willing to throw that down too. Um, they're everywhere. They're iconic. They're like you said, it's them, and then it's Mike and Sully. It's those two sets of characters, especially Buzz and Woody. They're the ones that got it all started, and I don't think Pixar would be what it is today without those two characters being what they were. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like we said, mind you, they did have shorts before they made Toy Story, and the shorts did make headway,
Hmm.
but it wasn't a movie. And then it was John Lasseter, who is um, one of the main guys on this, and he is the director of this film. Came in and pretty much said, "We are going to make this what we want it to be." And you have the backing of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is one of the big people who helped on this.
No, I think this movie is kind of perfect in every way, right? Just the way the story unfolds, and Sid being the crazy kid, the unhinged, kid that wants to blow stuff up. There's a cool Easter egg because I know you were just talking about it with Monsters Inc. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but how
There's a Buzz
one of
Lightyear.
the monsters is the monster that is in disarray, who is like crying. It's the one that has the 2319, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like crying and everything. He's like, I can't go back in, and there's really no way to tell unless you like really pause it.
In Sid's room.
It's Sid's room, yeah.
But
So
not only that, too, I think there was well, you had Rex. Remember, they had it at the end of the movie in like the little blooper scenes. It was Rex, that little chicken or the
mhm,
big chicken that was like, "Hey, Bob," it was originally Rex from Toy
yeah,
Story. Hey, it's all that fun. I love it.
that's cool. Yeah.
But, yeah. So before we go to our number ones, let's do our honorables.
Yep.
I have three.
I have three as well.
I'll go first quick. I had Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo was hard between that and Up,
Mhm.
but when I went off pure rewatchability, I could watch Up more than I could watch Finding Nemo. And it's hard because I like Finding Nemo. I love the colors of it. I love the coral reef design. It is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful movie too. Like, yeah.
The score, if you love the score from Road to Perdition, like I've talked about, this is the same gentleman who does this movie, Thomas Newman. But he also does Cinderella Man. He was putting out bangers as well too, score wise.
Run out all the bangers.
He's putting out all the bangers. Thomas Newman is a great musician. I'll put it out there. I also like Coco. Coco was another hard one.
That was on mine too.
You have the iconic song "Remember Me,"
Mhm.
and it's sung in many versions. But it's not only that; it's the whole thing of family too can be reunited by music and everything. It's a great story.
Mhm.
My last one, I know I'm going to get hate for. It's Soul. I enjoy Soul.
They're gonna say Wally.
No, no, I will never put Wally on my list, and I know I'm going to get hate for that. I
Yeah, that's what I thought I thought that's the kind of hate you were projecting to
No,
get.
because people love that movie. I am just not one of those guys who love that movie. I'm one of them that just does not care about that movie.
Me
I
too.
understand the message of what they're trying to do with it, but it was just one of those like it just missed for me. I don't know why it gets a lot of love because I just didn't care for them. But Soul doesn't get a lot of love.
Mhm.
Even though it did win Best Animated Picture that year. It is a movie that I think people tend to forget. And I love the jazz kind of background again, but it's finding your sole purpose in life. It is, what is your purpose at this point in life? And it's a great story. I enjoy it. It's something I love. There's other great ones, like I said, Monsters University, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, I'd even put up there, but again, those are easy ones. And I kind of want to focus around where it wasn't repetitive. That it wasn't, oh, it's, you know, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, because I could easily put them as number 2 and 3. But I wanted to keep it all different. So, Pat, what's your honorables?
My honorables is Toy Story 3.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be somewhere on your
Yeah,
list.
Toy Story 3. Coco was another one.
Yeah.
Like you
Okay.
said, Coco. I love my son really loves the songs from that, and so we make a playlist for him when we're riding in the car, and I enjoy them myself. I like "Remember Me" is a great song.
Yeah.
"Un Poco Loco" is a great song as well.
Yeah.
Uh, but back to Toy Story 3 real quick. Obviously, that ending I think is one of the
Well,
best endings.
it's a sense of it's a toy, a kid like us.
Comes full circle, right?
It's like a passing of a generation. You know, we're Andy in this case, and that's I cried in that scene. I'm not gonna lie, I'll put it out there, fan. I cried in that scene. I know I always say I'm an easy crier.
Yeah.
This scene ruined me for
Mhm.
weeks because it was a sense of, but you get that metaphor of we're Andy, and one day we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to pass our toys, pass our teachings, everything to the next generation. And that's what that scene is to me. When you see Annie drive off, it tears you. And Woody, bye, partner. See ya, partner. By God. It's like,
Yeah. No, that's yeah, you're right. It's very heartfelt too.
yeah,
You get so invested in all these characters, I think, throughout their movies and especially these characters because it's what started it all.
yeah,
And that's what we know and that's what we love and that's what we're familiar with.
right.
Um but yeah, I yeah, man, it's what's funny is I heard there was like an interview with Quentin Tarantino and he was saying how this this scene alone in Toy Story 3 is like one of the best scenes he's seen in like a very long time. And that's big praise for especially from a director such
That
as
doesn't tend to
background.
do animation.
Well, it's like you wouldn't expect him to talk about a Pixar movie like that. So I think that's pretty cool. It's high praise. I think everyone should watch this movie. Um, I think it just got left out of my list because there was just a lot more to get to.
Right.
Um, I mean, I did a disservice to Monsters Inc. as well. Monsters Inc.'s in my honorable mention as well. And then my last one would be Onward.
Enjoyed Onward. I thought it was different. I like the duo of Chris Pratt and
Tom Holland.
yeah, Tom Holland. I
Yeah,
think they're great.
yeah.
It was one that shied off my list too because I do enjoy it. It's a movie I can watch, but not repetitive.
No, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
But
but so I'll go if I'll doing things up. I will do my number one because you have stated number one, and it is Toy Story for me.
oh, okay.
The movie that started Pixar and put Pixar on the map, but made Toy Story set the standard of
Mhm,
animation. It's what killed Disney's 2D animation. It's what killed a lot of things for Disney, but made him go in the different direction. Toy Story, I have so many fond memories of. According to my mom, when I was a kid, I cried in this movie. I was terrified of this movie for some reason.
mhm,
But growing up and enjoying it, I felt like Andy. I try to literally play with my toy soldiers. My cousin used to have this toy bucket of soldiers, just like the movie. And I try to make them fly, parachute down. Like, why aren't you working? Fly, do all this. But I would have them reenact the scenes when they had the little walkie talkie, they have the jump rope to rappel down. I had all those. I had Woody and Buzz. I had pretty much all the toys from Toy Story. I still do. It is one of those movies that just hit you. And it's a great movie, a great story of how one incident can turn into many more things. And
mhm.
not only that, what a great friendship they built in the long run. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, by far, and I've said this when you were talking about it,
Yep.
is the best duo I have ever seen in movies. Those two, Tom Hanks, I think they were like automatically going to Tom Hanks for this role for Woody because he had that arrogant voice. He
Mhm.
can come across that way. And when you really look at Woody, I cannot sit here and not think Woody. Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen. That kind of was the awkward pick for me. I wouldn't think Tim Allen for Buzz, but it worked. Here's some of my other favorite characters. I love Don Rickles. Don
Don.
Rickles as Mr. Potato Head is by far my favorite role in the whole movie because he is that sarcastic asshole that you love.
Yeah. I
It-
just wouldn't expect that. That's funny.
you have John Ratzenberger. He's Ham
Mhm.
in the movie. How can you not like Ham?
No, yeah. How can you not?
Wallace Shawn is Rex.
I like ham too.
Yeah.
Funny.
Annie Potts is Bo Peep. If you ever watched Roseanne, the sister of Roseanne is Mrs. Davis or Andy's mom.
Jim Varney.
Yep, Jim Varney. Arlie Ermy, Sergeant, buddy. That is my favorite character of all time. I love it. I love like you would never look at that movie and go,
Full Metal Jacket.
yeah, without not thinking that. Because at
Well,
that
you know
point,
what's crazy? You know what? Yeah, and you know what's crazy is like, could you imagine like incorporating like hit like if someone like photoshopped his character from Toy Story walking through the halls, and that'd be awesome.
oh, Snowball. No, I love Arlie Ermy. He is Sarge to me. For me, I love a lot of these actors in this film. This is a star-studded cast without having to realize it's a star-studded cast. You know, and for this, we wouldn't have any of the other Pixar movies that we know and love today.
Mhm.
We wouldn't. Toy Story is a great film. It is a great story of friendship, perseverance. There is a lot of things about this movie. And that, even though times change, does not mean that things will not change completely. And that for me, Woody still is Andy's favorite toy, even though Buzz is the new toy.
Yeah,
Is a reason why this movie is in the top 100 movies ever made.
got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's literally in the AFI. It is, I believe it's on the low end, but it is in the top 100.
I mean, that's saying a lot right there, though. I mean, for it to be an animated movie and being Is it the only animated movie in the top 100?
No, I believe Snow White was up there too.
Snow White.
Snow White, because that was a pretty big deal when that movie came out, because it was one of the first like motion picture films animated.
Toy Story's better than
Yeah, Toy
that.
Story, yeah. Toy Story set a standard. And at that point, it was nominated for Best Picture, I believe. I'm pulling up the rewards right now. They were nominated for 3 Oscars. They did not win any.
That's crazy. It
Yeah.
should. You think that'd be best
Actually, wait a
animation?
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. They did win something. So they were nominated for Best Writing, Screenplay. They were nominated for Best Music and Original Song from Randy Newman for You Got a Friend of Me. And they were
Hmm.
nominated for Best Music, Original Music or Comedy Score. And that was also Randy Newman.
Hmm.
They won a Special Achievement Award for John Lasseter because of what he did for that movie and what he used. It was a lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
That dude set standards from here on out. Um, they have won other awards. They did win. They did win. It looks like at the Annie Awards, they won music, they won writing, directing. They won quite a bit of things. So I recommend this movie to anybody. If you've never watched Toy Story, what's wrong?
Shame on you.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? But yeah,
Mm.
Toy Story is my number one. What is your number one?
My number one, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because we talked about it earlier a little bit. Ratatouille.
Yep, I knew it. I knew it was coming. I knew it. I
It's
knew.
always been one of my favorite movies. I love the main song. It's fantastic. I love the setting of the movie itself. It's Paris, France. It really sets the tone of what the movie evolves around. Um, with it being having that food aspect, I love because I love to eat. I'm not ashamed to say it. I mean, who doesn't love to eat? I love a good meal. Can't shame on that. Um, but I think just the culture of cooking and everything, I think is what's cool about it, especially working in a fine dining restaurant, stuff like that. And then seeing characters like Linguini and Remy evolve throughout this movie, right? Linguini is like this busboy that's kind of down on his luck. He was kind of sent here from his mom because he, is technically Gusto's son, and nobody knows that until you find that on later on in the movie. Then you got Remy, who is a rat, who is he is the main character,
Mhm.
and Remy. I love the opening scene of this movie where you have Remy. You see how Remy lives, and you see what Remy is about, and you see that he has a certain standard for himself compared to the other rats in his family and in his colony. And I think that's the cool part about him, especially how it's like you said, Patton Oswalt, fantastic as Remy, dude. I don't think anyone could have played that character better. He has voice,
Well,
that perfect voice, and especially with what the movie is about, it's just like I don't know. He makes
wait,
everything sound so good.
well, it's a character. That is the movie that made me go, Patton Oswalt's a better voice actor than he is
Mhm.
actually a real actor.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah, and that's nothing to shame about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's no shame there.
That's what makes that movie great is his voice. And it makes it that wittiness. It makes it that where you understand Remy's attitude. And
Yeah,
but yeah.
but yeah, no, I love the scene where he's chased the old boss is chasing him through the streets, trying to get that letter that basically is saying that he's in the will to take the restaurant. That Linguini is in the will to take the restaurant. The only thing I never really understood about this movie is the whole hair pulling thing. That you know,
It's a
I'll leave
nerd
it to
thing.
be. It's a nerd. Yeah, still.
It's a nerd.
Um, but that doesn't ruin any part of the movie for me. I just always thought it was kind of strange, but never really thought about much of it. Anyway, and then the Anton ego part, and I know we talked about it earlier, and I want to bring it up again, is the whole part where that dish brings him back to when he was just a young kid, right? And he was just with his mom. and it was a meal that she made him all the time, and it just brought him back. And I think that's a cool thing because it evolves his character throughout the movie, right? He comes off this whole movie as this arrogant, snobby
Food critic.
food critic, right? And definitely hard on the people that he critiques. And I think it kind of changes him for the better, right? We see at the end of the movie where they have their own restaurant and he's like the regular, right? He's like, surprise me.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, Ratatouille, I would recommend it to everyone. Great score, great original song they have. I forget the title of it, but it's definitely catchy. I got to go on the ride when I went to Disney World not too long ago, and that was fun because they don't really have anything Ratatouille related.
I'm actually going to look it up right now to see who did the score because I do like the score, but I think I know who did it. But I'm gonna go confirm right now. It is Michael Giacchino too.
Look at that!
Michael Giacchino. Michael Giacchino
What's
is
up? Bang! Another banger.
a banger. He does a lot up for Pixar. He did Incredibles. He did Ratatouille. He's done Up. He does a lot of bangers, and we love him. That's why we love him.
Could be a new saying on the
Oh, he
podcast.
did
A
Cars
lot
2 as
of
well.
bangers.
He did Cars 2. He did Lightyear, which nobody liked Lightyear. Um, he did a lot. That dude's a good
That's
composer.
funny.
Nobody likes Lightyear. Nobody hated Lightyear. Sad, but everybody hated it.
It's sad, but
It was
not
a
my problem.
it was a movie that nobody wanted, and you made it.
Yep. That's you made it. It's like making me eat the day old leftovers that were terrible.
So let me ask you this before we end the podcast: is there a Pixar movie that you go, I hate this movie?
Uh probably either probably Wally.
I I put Wally up on mine.
Just pointless. It seems pointless to me. I get what they're trying to do, like you said. It just doesn't really gravitate towards me, and I don't really. I don't know. It's just there's not a lot of dialogue in it, which bugs me about it too.
Yeah, like I just feel like it's too quiet
Hmm.
for me to enjoy it. I put Wally up there. I know I'm gonna get heat for this one too. I put Brave up there.
I never watched Brave, so I can't say anything about it.
Brave, I would, and the reason is it's just because I didn't like I understood the story, but I just felt like this really isn't Disney or this isn't really Pixar to be per se. Um, I put Brave up there. I put Cars 2 up there. Cars 2 is terrible. And it's sad because they had Michael Caine in it and still ruined it. Another weak one for me, I'd say Lightyear. I probably put Turning Red up there.
Forget Lightyear was a Pixar movie.
Yeah, it is. But I'd put Cars 2, Cars 3. I put Turning Red up there. I didn't care for Turning Red and Lightyear. And
Turning Red's not terrible.
Steeder. I didn't care for it. It
How about Elemental, man?
huh?
What about Elemental? Have you watched Elemental?
I have. I am one of those suckers that actually didn't mind the story.
I didn't mind it either.
But do I think do let's put it this way. Do I think it deserves the heat it gets? No. No pun intended, because there's heat in the movie. But
Ah,
but do I think it's one of the best ones? No. I don't think it's like mid. I'd put it as it's not great, but it's not terrible.
I got you.
So I enjoyed Elemental though. Like for what we got, it has one of my favorite songs in it. Um Still the Show. I love that song. I think it's a great song. But I like the film. It's a great story. But I feel like there was things that were missing that could have made a better story. And I feel like they failed on that end. But Pixar's been going downhill lately, so let's hope Pixar picks it back up. So
Got to pick it on up. Yeah. I mean,
mhm.
I think Elemental was a step in the right direction. I don't think it was a
Yeah,
step.
most critics don't think that. Most critics actually hated the movie.
Well,
I haven't cared after Soul. I did not care for Luca as much, and I know people like that movie. I did not.
Luca's not bad. I like
It's not
Luca.
terrible, but it started their downhill. And Turning Red was one of them. Lightyear was, and Elemental gets a lot of heat. So
Mhm.
that's why I said it kind of was their downfall. After Onward, Soul was kind of mixed, and then after that, it was just terrible. So, but yeah, fans, let us know what your top 5 Pixar films are. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and also listen to the podcast on Spotify for podcasters, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So I'm going to turn it over to Pat to end this podcast.
Thank you guys, as always. Thank you, B Dog, for being my co host. And remember, we do it just for flicks.